When we think of Hollywood's greatest partnerships, names like Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy or Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan may come to mind. However, one partnership that often gets overlooked is the friendship and professional bond between Whitney Houston and Kevin Costner. While their relationship was often whispered about in Hollywood circles, it was their shared story in the making of The Bodyguard that cemented their place in cinema history. In February 2012, when Whitney Houston passed away, Kevin Costner took to the stage at her funeral to deliver a heartfelt eulogy. He didn't just speak of their professional collaboration. He spoke of a genuine, deep friendship that was forged through trust and mutual respect. The making of The Bodyguard released in 1992. The Bodyguard became one of Hollywood's most iconic romantic dramas, largely due to the remarkable chemistry between Whitney Houston and Kevin Costner. But the film's path to success was anything but straightforward. Initially, the script was created with Diana Ross and Steve McQueen in mind, but it was rejected 67 times by various studios. Enter Kevin Costner. At the time, he was a rising star due to the success of Dances with Wolves. With his newfound clout, he was able to push The Bodyguard back into production. However, he had one demand: Whitney Houston would be his leading lady. Despite being a global music sensation, Whitney had no acting experience, and the decision raised doubts throughout the industry. Whitney's initial hesitation. Whitney Houston's apprehension about taking on her first acting role was more than just a matter of being a novice in the field. She had already built an incredible career in music, and the idea of stepping into a new arena was terrifying. She feared the potential for harsh criticism and doubted her abilities to succeed. When Kevin Costner first approached her, she turned him down, expressing her fears of disappointing not only him but also the audience. In interviews, she later shared that the pressure was overwhelming. However, it was Costner's personal call that changed her mind. He assured her that he believed in her, and after some persuasion, Whitney agreed to take the plunge. The screen test, a moment of doubt. When the time came for Whitney to audition, the pressure was immense. Not only was it her first major acting role, but it was also a leading part opposite a Hollywood heavyweight like Kevin Costner. The screen test was mandatory, and despite her success in music, Whitney had to prove herself. Kevin Costner, ever the supportive co-star, witnessed her nervousness firsthand. He described how heartbreaking it was to see the most famous woman in the world feeling so insecure. Despite his assurances, Whitney was struggling with self-doubt, a far cry from her confident, larger-than-life persona on stage. Costner was so moved by the moment that he even considered rigging the audition, wanting to protect her from the potential fallout. But he stopped himself, understanding the importance of fairness. The iconic song, "I Will Always Love You," one of the most enduring moments from The Bodyguard, is Whitney Houston's rendition of Dolly Parton's "I Will Always Love You." It's hard to imagine the film without this powerful ballad, which has since become one of the most iconic songs in movie history. Interestingly, the song wasn't originally planned for the movie. The filmmakers had initially chosen What Becomes of the Brokenhearted as the film's key song. Looking back, Kevin Costner admitted that Whitney's iconic ballad was a last-minute change. It's clear, though, that the decision was serendipitous, as the song became intertwined with Whitney's legacy. Costner later shared how much he admired the way Whitney poured her heart into that song, giving the film an emotional depth it might have otherwise lacked. Shared history and personal bond. The bond between Kevin Costner and Whitney Houston wasn't just built on their professional collaboration, but also on their shared personal histories. Both grew up in the Baptist church, and they enjoyed swapping stories of their childhoods. Costner, in particular, often recounted his mischievous moments during church services, when he would pass notes and sneak away to pretend to drink whiskey with his imaginary friends. Whitney loved hearing these stories, especially when Costner shared how his father would drag him away from his antics. These personal connections brought them closer together, and their shared faith in many ways deepened the emotional connection they had. This friendship helped create an atmosphere of trust, allowing them both to shine during the making of The Bodyguard. Kevin's support during Whitney's struggles. In the years that followed the success of The Bodyguard, Whitney Houston's life took some difficult turns, especially as she struggled with addiction. Kevin Costner, who had become one of her closest friends, remained supportive, even when things became challenging. He shared on CNN how he had written her letters when he learned she was struggling. Though he was not fond of writing, Costner sent the letters in the hope that Whitney might reach out for help. Sadly, those letters were never answered, and he never knew if she had read them. Nevertheless, Costner remained a constant source of support in her life, and his unwavering belief in her was evident even as her battles with addiction became public. The pain of seeing Whitney doubt herself. In his eulogy, Kevin Costner spoke at length about the pain he felt watching Whitney struggle with self-doubt. Despite her immense talent and success, she often questioned her worth. This was something that Costner, as both a friend and co-star, found incredibly painful. Whitney had given the world her voice, her heart, and her soul, yet she never seemed to fully recognize her own brilliance. Costner shared that she had set the bar so high with her singing that even seasoned professional singers were reluctant to attempt her songs. In his words, Whitney was a phenomenon, an icon who transcended the industry, yet she struggled to see herself that way. Kevin Costner's farewell to Whitney. At Whitney Houston's funeral, Kevin Costner gave a eulogy that resonated deeply with all who were present. He spoke of how much he loved her, not just for her talent, but for the woman she was behind the public persona. He described her as heaven's newest treasure, and said that even God might wonder how he created something so perfect. With a voice choked with emotion, Costner told her to not doubt herself when she sang before the Heavenly Father. He reassured her that, just as she had been more than enough on earth, she would be good enough in the afterlife as well. His final words to her were simple, but profoundly touching. "Don't worry, you'll be good enough." A heartfelt tribute, remembering their story. Kevin Costner's tribute to Whitney Houston at her funeral was a testament to their deep friendship and shared history. It's a rare bond in Hollywood, where personal connections can be fleeting and often overshadowed by fame and fortune. Costner's love for Whitney was not just that of a co-star, but of a true friend who had witnessed her struggles, triumphs, and moments of self-doubt. The story of their partnership is one that transcends the screen, reminding us that sometimes the most enduring relationships in Hollywood are not the romantic ones, but those rooted in trust, respect, and unwavering support.